Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another Etheria Restart video, and today we're going to dive into the challenges facing Etheria Restart that are keeping it from being like one of the top tier gacha games out there, that are driving some people away. Now look, before we get into this, it is totally normal for a gacha game to launch, be a huge influx of players right as the game starts, and then they just leave, right? A week, 2 weeks into the game or whatever, they're like, this game's not for me. I'm going to go back to playing Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact. And some of those people are big content creators like a Braxophone who take advantage of quitting a game that they never really wanted to play in the first place. And honestly, like if you watch his video, the dude never he didn't really understand what he was saying, but he could get a couple 100,000 views by making a video trashing the game on the way out. Hey, look, dude, make your money. I feel you. But there are some problems with the game that are driving people away that weren't just always going to quit in a week or two, like what always happens. So I want to talk about those issues here, because if we get those issues fixed, if we can address what I think are like the top, I wrote down like 5 or 6 things that are plaguing the game right now, I think we could have a really thriving PvP focused gacha game. Now, the overarching theme of what I'm gonna get to here is one thing this game has done really well is there's a lot of content. Ethernet Rally, Ember Trek, Phantom Theater, Anti-Sea Geckos. You can always be doing these. And then we have like circulating events, right? Things that come and go. Some of them like Shell Story, super easy. Everybody can just mess with that whenever. And some of them like Cage Rumble, which are a lot more like hardcore in-game focused things. Then there's all the PvP. There's 3 modes of PvP at launch. This is supposed to be like a PvP focused game, I think. And that's all great. Problem is you can't ever do any of it because you are constantly locked in to wearing the gear that you need to be farming, because you have to farm a ton in this game. And I'm not against a game where you have to farm a lot. What I'm against is having my gear tied into farming characters, which are background farming basically all day. And then I have like 20 minutes and I could take those 20 minutes and be like, ooh, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and like grind out some summon arena because I'm only in plat. And I know I have like the gear and the characters to be a lot higher than that. Problem is I click matchmake and I'm like, ah, crap. I like all my dot characters equipped to be farming like Nico, Nana, Inferno or something. Oh, do I really want to like unequip all of them and stop farming and then like re-equip everybody? Now I've cut my 20 minutes into like 10. No, I just won't mess with it. I'll just keep farming. And really, you're just stuck farming because there's not separate gear sets in the game. So my number one thing, like if they fixed one thing off of the back of this video, give us PvP gear sets and give us PvE gear sets. Like, we do have gear sets in the game, and if you didn't know about this, you probably should. You can save module sets, and you can see I have a whole bunch of them saved, but once you re-equip them, it strips that gear from the other character, which makes sense. But if that character was, let's say, on your defense team in Arena, like I'm always running these super janky defense teams. Like look at this, Ling, Mia, Yelly, Rosa. Do you know why I'm running those right now? Because I was farming with those characters. So I constantly have to like change my formation on defense to whatever I'm farming with, just so I don't have a bunch of naked characters rocking out there and getting slaughtered. Like Etheria, like it's hard to even do PvP because you don't have PvP gear sets. That needs to be fixed. And honestly, adding like adding background farming gear or some mechanic for when your characters are background farming and you take gear off of them, they keep their gear on while they're background farming, would at least unlock the ability to go into like Ember Trek or Ethernet Rally or Phantom Theater, any of these other game modes that you literally have to quit farming, rearrange all your gear, go do those, put your gear back to farming mode. Look, is it all doable? Yes, but many people who play gacha games that like thrive off of selling you convenience, we want convenience. Like we're willing to pay for convenience. So give it to us in terms of like gear not being such a freaking pain in the ass to where like it prevents you from doing things in the game. So that's number one. That was a bit of a long point, but there's the rant. All right, now the next thing I want to touch on is Inferno difficulties and if they are overtuned a little bit. And I think the devs have already leaned into the answer to that being yes. Some people will argue and say, no, this is the hardest fights in the game. This is the end game. You shouldn't be able to beat that after 2 weeks. I just disagree with that take overall. I think the end game for PvE is all of this trial challenge stuff. I think this is the PvE endgame, or Cage Rumble, Infinity Train, things like that. These stages up here are meant to be farming, and so lowering the difficulty of Inferno, or at least changing the, like, I watched a Vulcan video where he was talking to Sean B about like enrage mechanics in these fights, like get rid of that stuff. For example, the way to beat, like, let's look at Aurora. This is probably the hardest Inferno fight in the game, or one of the hardest Inferno fights in the game right now. There should be more ways to beat this fight than like burn her down before she kills you. Like, I feel like if PvE, if farming teams are going to be this like puzzle building game of putting together the correct team to like overcome the boss's mechanics and win, hey, maybe if you're a little under geared or your shells aren't perfect, you put together a team that can like tank, heal, and over the course of like 4 to 5 minutes, beat the fight. Like, that is enough of a punishment. Like, if you're a background farm for a, 5 clears of Aurora Inferno takes your team, oh, I don't know, 30 minutes, hey, that is a little bit of a punishment. And as you gear up, as you get better shells and modules, you can lower that speed, eventually 2-star or whatever. I think that's plenty good of a progression system. But right now, it feels like there's so few ways to beat these fights that at least don't involve investing into weird characters. And I think, like, as a feels guy, as somebody who wants the game to not only work but feel good, it just feels bad to be like, oh wait, I have to have, let's say you're not somebody who likes Kachi the Guard, but Kachi the Guard as an SR unit is like the key unit to a team comp. So you're like, well, shit, I don't have Lily and I can't build dot teams because I don't have Shadow Sonya. I guess I like have to go level Kachi the Guard, and I guess I have to like max his skill 3. Anytime you feel like you have to do something with a character you don't want to do, it feels bad. And that can drive people away from the game. So if there were just more ways to beat the Inferno fights, I think that would be fine. And I think the easiest way to make more ways to beat the Inferno fights is just like take like the enraging mechanics out or lower them a lot, and then just maybe like drop their stats a bit. Like, it's farming content. It's farming content. So like make it a little bit easier to farm. I think everybody would be all right with that at the end of the day. Now, I want to talk about another thing in farming. We just had the double EXP weekend, and it was awesome. The reason the double EXP or the double drop weekend was awesome was not because it was double drops, is because everybody was like, finally I can farm experience. Because farming experience in this game sucks. It sucks. Like, sure, occasionally you can get the like rare pull to drop in here or something like that, but it's not nearly enough to justify coming in here every day and farming this, in my opinion. I don't know what the fix is if you just like ramp up the drop rate in here a lot, but I guess in my opinion, I agree with somebody like Sean B on this. You should be able to relatively easily get a character to their max level. Like, that shouldn't be the thing that's preventing you from playing the game the way you want. But the truth is, like, if I wanted to take my Mia, who I use all the time, just up to 6 stars, it would take basically every ascension material that I have to just get her a few more stats. And then even after I did that, like, how much character EXP do I have? Well, let's see. Let me find a character that I don't have leveled up all the way. I took hardcore advantage of that double drop weekend. But anyway, I only have a certain amount of these upgrade books. Man, being gated by upgrade books sucks. It feels really bad. So like, increasing the drop rate of these, or somehow just making it so like you don't have to quit farming all of that hard stuff just to come over and start farming stupid experience for a few days to level up one character, that would be a nice little change the game could make. I just hate the way character experience works in the game, and I think some way of making that more friendly to the players would help people enjoy the game more, and that's what I'm all about. Now, events. People have talked about how much they don't like some of the events, like Cage Rumble, which is really hard. This is what I actually don't have a problem with. I like that there are rotating hard events. Again, my issue with it is I just was messing with Cage Rumble for the first time today, and I skipped it on its first day because I didn't want to stop background farming. This just circles back to my first point, which was like, I shouldn't have to choose between playing the game during the windows of the day when I actually have some free time to play the game and stopping farming. Like, I love that there's hard content to farm in this game. I just wish it was like, I don't know. Like again, I think it just goes back to my first point of like, Give me different sets of gear for background farming PvP, and then like generic PvE, which is like Cage Rumble and all these other in-game modes. I am personally fine with having an easy event, limited event, and a hard limited event, as long as you just recycle them. And that does seem to be what the game is doing. All right, now I want to end this with a real banger, a real feels bad moment in the game that if you run into this, oh wait, do I have enough oh, here's a real feels good moment right there. Boom, perfect lattice fragments, let's go. Anyway, here's a real feels bad moment. All right, let's say you spend a whole day and you're refreshing energy and you farm shells for a day and you have over 1 million shell experience and you're like, finally, I can go to this like this Codex of Magic shell and I can hit attributes and I can go to reconfigure and I can get myself that like plus 17, plus 18, plus 20 speed. And then you spend 1 million of these chips, 1 million training data, and the best thing you get is animus speed plus 7. Shoot me. Like, that's terrible. It is one of the most feels bad moments in this game. When you sit here like, I genuinely want this shell to have like speed plus a lot. I don't want healing plus 13. We'll abandon that. It's 30,000 every single time I have to hit this button. And you can see I'm essentially just throwing away farm that I farmed all day on, just looking for one thing. What this reminds me a lot of is when Trust Stones came out in War of the Visions. So all of my War of the Visions players out there, as you can see, I can't even roll speed, much less roll better than 7 speed. All my War of the Visions players out there, when the Trust Stone system came into the game and there was all of this like RNG tied to it, we hated it. It drove people away from the game. It made them quit the game. And like, look, how much EXP? I've wasted like 300,000 plus EXP. Oh, look, I got plus 7. I literally got the same passive that I'm trying to replace. This system is crap. Like, it sucks. I don't mind there being some randomness to the gear system in this game. I get it's a gacha game. They all have that mechanic, but like, I've rolled speed 7 4 times now. Well, the original one and then 3 extra times. Holy crap. I am wasting a day of farming trying to reroll a passive on a shell. I'm not talking about something, there's the 5th one. That's just ridiculous. I'm not talking about something fun like getting a new shell. Hey, getting a new shell is kind of fun. I'm talking about tedious stuff like this. This is pure tedium, and it should either be removed or there should be like rare drops or rare items in the game that let you pick a substat on a shell, because something like speed is just too valuable to have to sit here, waste. I mean, what am I down to now? I've about used 1 million. Again, this is the same shell that yesterday I used 1 million EXP on to try to get speed above 7, and I never got it. In fact, I've gotten speed 7. That's the 6th time I've rolled speed 7, which I quite obviously don't want because it's what I'm trying to get rid of. I don't know what the fix is for this. I just know that this is crap. And like, it feels really, really bad as I'm now over 2 million EXP spent. Like, crit damage plus 29% would be awesome on one of my DPS shells. This ain't that. This is Swift Rush Bulwark Codex of Magic that I want. Like, maybe I just save that and I use this on like a Messiah or something later, but now I have to re-roll like this stuff, and like, it just feels so terrible. Like, okay, let's see, let's try to make this a DPS shell. You guys see what I'm saying, right? Like, it sucks. So those are my gripes. Those are my gripes. I tried to offer some fixes in there. I tried to offer some like ways to maybe overcome some of the problems that I was describing. But look, I know if you're a really hardcore, really smart player who consumes all the guides, who's like grinding every day, you can overcome this stuff on your own. And like, good for you. I'm proud of you for that. Most players, for a game to survive, you must cater to a slightly more casual audience, especially if you want to make money, because many of the people who can afford to spend money on this game do not spend their entire day playing video games. They're working 1 or 2 jobs, they have a family or pets or a yard or something they have to take care of. They want to background farm, and then they want to be rewarded for their background farm by being able to experience the fun parts of the game. If you can't do that, the game's not going to succeed. So let's fix this stuff. Let's get this game to succeed. I love this game. I want it to thrive. See y'all in the next one. Peace.